Welcome to tonight's Finance Committee meeting for July the 10th, 2023. If you'll stand with me at this time for the invocation, followed by the flag salute. Dear Lord, once again, we just come thanking you for the gift of another day. Thank you for all your blessings you restored upon us. Just ask that you would just look upon our community during the summer season and bless our citizens. Ask that you would just look upon the city leaders tonight as we come together, that all that we do be in your will and in your way. These and many other blessings we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Finance Committee, agenda item number 1, please.
Consider approval of Finance Committee minutes of June 12th, 2023, or take other necessary action.
Reviewing of the minutes, are there any corrections or additions to our minutes?
Move for approval.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve our minutes. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Patrick Cale,
Yes.
Perlin Boyati Craig.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hoos.
Yes.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Alex Reynolds.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Item number 1 passes. Item number 2, please.
Consider approval of claims for all city departments June 3rd, 2023 through June 30th, 2023, or take other necessary action.
We have a report from the Purchasing Committee.
Yes, the Purchasing Committee did meet this afternoon, and we approve all claims. I move for approval.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve our claims list. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Patrick Cale,
Yes.
Perlin Boyati Craig.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hoos.
Yes.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Alex Reynolds. Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Item number 2 passes. Item number 3, please.
Consider approval to apply matching grant funds for the Muskogee Tourism Authority totaling $8,500 or take other necessary action.
Ms. Weezy.
Good evening, Chair and committee members. The Muskogee Tourism Authority has done some fundraising this quarter, and the city has budgeted for grant match funds in this year's budget. We do have funds available, and we do recommend approval. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Move for approval.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve this agenda item. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Patrick Cale,
Yes.
Perlin Boyati Craig.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hoos.
Yes.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Alex Reynolds.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Item number 3 passes, and that concludes our Finance Committee meeting.
I'd like to open today's Public Works Committee meeting for July 10th, 2023. Roll call, please. No roll call needed? Okay, item number 1.
Consider approval of Public Works Committee minutes of June 12th, 2023, or take other necessary action.
Everyone's had a chance to review the minutes. Any corrections or entertain a motion?
Move for approval. Second.
Have a motion is second. Roll call.
Patrick Cale,
Yes.
Perlin Boyati Craig.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hoos.
Yes.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Alex Reynolds.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Item passes. Item number 2, please.
Hold a public hearing and take action on a request brought by Bigfoot Cannabis for a specific use permit to operate a marijuana dispensary on property located at 2422 North 32nd Street, or take other necessary action.
I'd like to open the public hearing at this time. Mr. King?
Yes, so this is a specific use permit application for medical marijuana dispensary operated by Bigfoot Cannabis. At the Planning Commission meeting on June 20th, 2023, the Planning Commission did vote to deny this application, even though the staff approval was to approve it, because they met all zoning requirements and there were nothing that would have prohibited them from operating as a dispensary at this location. So for this item, I recommend that this body actually take action on reversing that and approving the dispensary for the specific use permit. And let's see. There should be a second slide. First time doing a PowerPoint. And so this is the background on this particular permit.
What was the reasoning for the denial from the planning commission?
They claimed that the market was too saturated at that location, which isn't a valid reason for denying an application of this sort.
Mr. Chairman, may I be recognized?
Yes.
Does it meet the normal requirements? Is it already zoned correctly?
Yes, Mayor.
Okay, thank you.
So, just to reiterate on the Planning and Zoning Committee, just to be clear, the 32nd Street area, which is the entranceway to our city, has how many dispensaries that's already in that neighborhood? The first thing you see when you come into the city?
There's at least two. This would probably at least make a third.
In that same vicinity. So that was the reason the Planning and Zoning Committee denied it.
Yes.
Thank you.
And, Mr. Chairman, if I can jump in for a second?
Yes.
Saturation is not, saturation is not a good reason for denial. Unfortunately, it would be no different than denying a pharmacy for that reason. It is a medical facility as far as prescriptions, and we can't deny a pharmacy opening up based on saturation, market saturation.
Thank you.
You said that we can't? You said we cannot deny it?
Not based on saturation.
Are there other reasons that we could come up, if so inclined, to deny some of these things, or not?
Well, the problem that we're looking at is that's discrimination against one particular type of business without a valid basis. And we have restricted grows to agriculture only with a specific use permit. We can control the grows, but per state law, it's very difficult for us to control where these medical marijuana dispensaries go in.
So we can, if we haven't already, deny anybody bringing a grow into the downtown area.
Yes,
and we got plenty of good reasons to do that.
Yes, and it's not appropriate zoning. So we've already changed the ordinance on that last fall.
Good.
So that we can restrict grows to agriculture only, and they still have to have a specific use permit. The same thing for storage, marijuana storage facilities, transportation facilities. But as far as medical marijuana dispensaries, those are no different in the eyes of the state law than a regular medicinal pharmacy.
Well, I'm with you, but that's nice to come into right there into Muskogee.
Any further discussion? We don't have any citizens signed up to speak, so we're going to close the public hearing. Is there any further discussion with the council?
Give us the recommendation again.
Staff recommends approval.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Patrick Kale,
Yes?
Perlin Boyati Craig,
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery,
Yes.
Tracy Hoos,
Yes.
Tracy McGee,
Yes.
Alex Reynolds,
Yes.
Jamie Stout,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed,
No.
Mayor Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Item passes. Item number 3, please.
Hold a public hearing and take action on an application by Ernesto Lopez for a specific use permit to operate a medical marijuana dispensary on property located at 407 East Shawnee Road, or take other necessary action.
At this time, I'd like to open the public hearing. Mr. King?
So this specific use permit was also heard at the June 20th, 2023 special call of the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission did vote to approve this one, and staff also recommends approval.
I have a question. Why did the planning and zoning approve this one?
It goes back to their reasoning on the first one, was that they cited a market saturation, and that at this particular location, there's not more than 2 dispensaries operating within a very close proximity of one another. So they approved this one and denied the other one.
I'm going to suggest to Ms. Bodenhammer it's probably time to have a training with our Planning and Zoning Commission so that they can be well aware of what the legal limitations are, because it puts us in a precarious situation where the Planning and Zoning Committee doesn't know the law, and then it comes back to us, to almost gerrymander something based on their opinion versus what the law really is.
Yes, sir. I will take that direction.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Good
Move for
observation.
approval?
We don't have any citizens signed up to speak, so we're going to close this public hearing. Any further council discussion? Entertain a motion?
Move for approval?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Patrick Kale,
Yes?
Pearlie Boyati Craig,
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery,
Yes.
Tracy Hous,
Yes.
Tracy McGee,
Yes.
Alex Reynolds,
Yes.
Jamie Stout,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed,
Yes.
Mayor Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Item passes. Item number 4, please.
Consider a recommendation for approval of the final plat for the Warrior Edition brought by Wallace Designs or take other necessary action.
Mr. King?
So you guys have seen this plat before. This is the Warrior Edition designed by the Cherokee Nation, or for the Cherokee Nation, putting in 30 homes. You guys approved the preliminary plat on May 22nd, 2023. The Subdivision Review Committee and the Planning Commission approved back in June 5th. Staff recommends approval of this item. And this is a image of the final plat if you want to see it again.
Move for approval?
Second.
We're still in the public, oh, is this public hearing?
No.
Okay.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Patrick Kale,
Yes?
Pearlie Boyati Craig,
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery,
Yes.
Tracy Hous,
Yes.
Tracy McGee,
Yes.
Alex Reynolds,
Yes.
Jamie Stout,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed,
Yes.
Mayor Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Item number 4 passes. Item number 5, please.
Consider approval of an amendment to the contract between the City of Muskogee and Five Star Demolition to extend their demolition contract for a period of 90 days or take other necessary action.
Mr. King?
So on this, their contract ended on June 30th of 2023. I was, during the transition period, was not able to get an RFP out and rebid their contract. We are currently in the process of writing a new RFP and rebidding their contract, but in the meantime, we are asking for a 90-day extension. That way we can continue with demolition as scheduled until we get a new contract rebidded and potentially a new contractor in, or whatever the bid comes back as.
Move for approval?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Patrick Kale,
Yes?
Pearlie Boyati Craig,
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery,
Yes.
Tracy Hous,
Yes.
Tracy McGee,
Yes.
Alex Reynolds,
Yes.
Jamie Stout,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed,
Yes.
Mayor Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Item number 5 passes. Item number 6, please.
Receive report and provide direction to staff regarding the structure located at 800 South 32nd Street, which is dilapidated and has become detrimental to the health, safety, or welfare of the general public as to constitute a public nuisance and/or creates a fire hazard which is dangerous to other property, and take other necessary action.
Mayor Coleman?
Thank you. To the body, we've been working with Ms. Bodenhammer to come up with some recommendations and language on how we should proceed. And I'm going to turn my portion of this over to her for a presentation.
Thank you, Mayor. The main point I want to make is this dilapidation finding was appealed to City Council several months ago. Since that time, to our knowledge, no real progress has been made. Council effectively granted their appeal for more time. So at this point in time, there's nothing left for us to do, nothing for staff to do other than restart the process for dilapidated structure. So I just want to get that point out to everyone. And then if we restart the process, they will have time to work with people or come up with an idea for the property as this is proceeding. But right now, we're just at a standstill.
Do we need a motion to restart the process?
We do not. It's more information for everyone here and to just let you know where we are. And I don't know if Jennifer had anything to say, add to that.
May I be recognized?
Yes.
I was just going to say, is it possible for us to get some communication luncheons to be able to talk to the owner, to be able to hear his ideas for the property as we move forward with this?
I think that the owner should have communication lunches with our attorney. I'm not so certain that we need to get into that situation again, because what happened the last time, I don't think the council was aware that they were inadvertently circumventing their own processes. So I think if the property owner has anything to say, he needs to say it to our attorney and let her disseminate that information as necessary.
The information that he wants to share with us is thoughts and ideas for the property. And, nothing legal, nothing legal actions. He wants to present to council members some of the options. He has a project in the Texas area, I believe, and he would just like to share that information with other council members to let them, hear some of the possibilities that could be for that location rather than just having another vacant spot on our main corridor of our city.
I would recommend to those who are on the council that we would all be in sync to let that information pass through Ms. Bodenhammer and then let her make the determination as to whether or not we need to convene.
One of the things that we could do, if I can jump in, is if the property owner has ideas, then if they want to email that to me, I can distribute it to council and we can all talk about it. They will also have opportunity to present at the PNRC hearing and at the UBCAP hearing.
I don't want to appear to be doing anything wrong on our behalf, but once again, this is a citizen that's coming that wants to meet with council, and I don't think that there's anything illegal with that move. And I don't want to appear to be, that we're trying to do anything other than that. We have a citizen who wants to share some ideas with us, and we're making it more technical than what it is.
Is the owner a citizen of Muskogee?
He's a property owner. A gentleman that's willing to invest in our community. I don't know if he lives here or not, but he's someone that's willing to invest in our community. And as a councilman for that ward, I think I should have an ear to hear.
I'll be recognized, please.
Yes.
Is there a mechanism for this gentleman to come up and tell us at council?
That's what we're trying to work on. That's all we're asking.
Communications lunch, but
That's whatever direction.
Yeah, I think Councilor Reynolds' suggestion would be the more palatable one. My concern is us meeting with someone that could result in a potential litigation. That puts us in an awful situation where we've been taking direct information from a person that if the process doesn't go according to their plans, is going to end up in court, which will be witnesses against ourselves.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
So I don't want to overspeak, and Katrina can. Oh, you may have something to say. Go ahead if you have something to say, Katrina.
Well, I was going to say, in order to keep everything above board and all members of the council are aware of what's happening, one of the things that could be good is a council presentation of what their ideas are. But we would probably need to extend the time on that a little bit because they probably can't get it done in 3 minutes. I don't see anything wrong with, for instance, Deputy Mayor, if they want to email you ideas or other city council members' ideas, I don't think that's a problem. But I think that I would need to be copied on that just because we've had so much problems with this property.
Understand.
Are you talking about a presentation where no questions are asked?
We'd have
No,
to counteraction.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if
we
we have
have
an
to-
agenda, if we have an agenda item, pardon me for jumping in. If we have an agenda item, the subject of the agenda item can participate to whatever degree. We wouldn't necessarily have a time limit. Just like if we have a public hearing on a certain property, the landowner of that property can always speak.
Okay.
May I be recognized?
Yes.
I don't have a problem with the property owner coming before the council and us giving them additional time to present their plans to us. I don't think we need a council luncheon for that.
And I don't think they need more time to present their plan. I think while the clock is running, they present their plan within the existing clock. Because we still have to go through the necessary procedural maneuvers to get them, in other words, they have time to speak while the clock is running. I think a delay in time is how we got here in the first place.
So if I may, I think as a follow-up from this meeting, Katrina, you can communicate that there is no current action
Yes, that's correct.
pending, and we can communicate that clearly to the property owner. And at that time, they can take out building permits, they can begin any kind of project that they want to begin, whether they have a meeting with us or not. And then if they want to have a meeting, if that gets scheduled on a public meeting, I think that is appropriate. Councilor Reynolds, your idea. If they want to present and the council is amenable to that, then that may be a way to proceed. But at this point, there's no city blockade to anyone developing that property within the zoning and just the usual rules that would apply to anyone. We have no, and that's part of the notice that we need to give today to make sure that that's clear.
Yes, that's correct. They can just come in and they can take out building permits, remodel permits, do whatever they need to do to get it started again.
Okay, thank you. May I be recognized? So if we can make that clear to the property owner, I think that would be pleasing to him. He'll understand that. I just don't think that information is being conveyed.
His attorney was here tonight. I don't know if he's still here or not. Oh, he's still here.
And he'll convey that, I'm sure.
Any further discussion? No action is necessary. This is direction of staff. I don't believe we have any citizens signed up to speak for this. Okay, move to item number 7.
Consider approval of lowest and best bid from Traffic and Lighting Systems Group Incorporated in the amount of $407,739.50 for traffic signals and striping for the Shawnee Bypass and Country Club Road intersection improvements, project number 2023004, or take other necessary action.
Mr. Stewart.
Actually, Mr. Reeves is going to explain this project.
Mr. Reeves.
As stated, this is a signalization and striping project. It will be a removal and replacement. The existing system will be removed. The new system will entail new masts, arms, and signals. Will also be controlled by a radar vehicle detection system and monitored remotely. All striping will be removed from the road and restriped during the project. And our intent is to leave the intersection open, go in both directions, only closing areas that will need to be safety conscious of. Hub Engineers Wes Stewart did approve this project, and for the bid on this project, and the funds for this project will be the sales tax, and ODOT contributed $250,000. And staff does recommend approval, and I believe Mike has some additional information that will be relevant.
So this is part of a past sales tax item that was passed and had set aside money for it. We had this project ready to go to bid several years ago, and that's when we're having quarterly meetings with ODOT, and they decided to participate in the project. So it took us several years to get their funding. Once we did, which we got towards the end of last year, we then went ahead and put the project together. This is a part of a two-part project. This is only the signal portion of the project, and we're not trying to do any road work or any drainage work on that intersection right now with the work that's going on going toward Fort Gibson over the Arkansas River with the bridges. But there is going to be a second phase of this project, which will be road improvements and drainage improvements there as well. I'm glad to answer any questions, but and TLS, by the way, is a contractor that we do work with all the time. They just finished the Four Corners project. And as Jeff stated, we do recommend approval.
Move for approval.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion from the council?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Mr. Stewart, I want to be sure that we remind the public that this was part of the CIP package that they voted on, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Because I don't want anybody to be confused that we're taking new sales tax money and moving it. This is existing funding that's been approved. When we say sales tax, we mean capital improvement plan tax.
Yes, and to be clear, this does expend all that money, and that's what it was approved for, was the signals. It wasn't approved for the drainage or the road work.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And thank you, Mayor. I do want to, if I may, just add, we do understand this project took a little longer than we wanted to, but we also applaud staff for making sure that we get additional funding to make sure that we're stretching our sales tax dollar.
Have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Patrick Kale.
Yes.
Pearlie Boyati Craig.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hoos.
Yes.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Alex Reynolds.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Item number 7 passes. Item number 8, please.
Consider approval of Olson Agreement Amendment Number 2 between the City of Muskogee and Olson Incorporated, providing for professional services for the East Smith Ferry Road widening and reconstruction between U.S. Highway 64 and Gulick Street in the amount of $35,900, or take other necessary action.
Mr. Stewart.
Yes, this project, again, is part of the Smith Ferry Road project, and this is to do Cherokee bypass, which would bypass that excess road around what used to be that service station. I don't know if you recall, but in a few meetings several months ago, we did have a resident that was concerned about us going to have to purchase her property, go through her house, and she was pretty emotional about the attachment she had to her house. In review of that with the engineers, we did go out and look, and if we moved that road one property to the east, we'd be going through a property that person actually does like or would like to let the city acquire. We do feel like that's an appropriate move to help keep everybody happy out there. This project is basically for the engineering to do the geotechnical work, the topography and boundary surveys, the roadway design, and then to assist with right-of-way documents if needed. This would be a alternate to the actual road project itself. So at that point in time, we can have it designed, which is what we recommend we do now, have it designed, and then at the point when it actually bids the entire project, we'll have this particular piece as an add alternate, and then council can decide at that point in time if we want to move forward in that direction. So we do recommend approval, and I'll answer your questions if I can.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. Any questions from the council?
Move for approval.
Thank you. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Patrick Hale.
Yes.
Pearlie Boyati Craig.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hoos.
Yes.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Alex Reynolds.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Item number 8 passes. Item number 9, please.
Receive report, discuss, and provide direction to staff related to fireworks policies and ordinances within the city of Muskogee, and take other necessary action.
Mr. Miller.
Yes, Mr. Chair, members of the committee, every year on the 4th of July, we have some incidents, and we've noticed over the last couple of years those incidents have gotten more out of hand. We've had a lot of citizen complaints this year. I've had counselors ask me what can we do, what should we do to try and rein in some of the destruction. And this year erupted into violence. And has in past years. In the background of your item is some information from police and fire. Chief Jody Moore was unable to be here tonight, so I'm going to paraphrase what he said in there, and you can read it for yourself. But he just says that they get a lot more calls in and around the 4th of July, ranging from dumpster fires, vehicle fires, grass and brush fires, and structure fires from fireworks, increase in trauma calls, blast and burn injuries. As you know, fire department is one of the first responders for medical injuries. Last year, fire crews responded to a fire and to a call for service and encountered a large truck, and the crowd pointed fireworks at the truck and hit the truck with fireworks, and the vehicle was damaged, but no individual person was as well. And so we ask our men and women that are on the police force and on the fire department to go out in these environments and do their job. And I want to make sure you had a full understanding of what they're dealing with. Representatives of the police force are here as well, and I would like to turn the floor over to them and let them tell you the 4th of July from their perspective. And I'll turn it, if you don't mind, Mr. Chair, I'll turn it over to them.
Good evening. I'm going to allow Captain Dean. He was one of the captain that was on shift on 4th of July night. I'm going to let him speak first and kind of tell you what he saw prior to us being called out and some of the information that's on there. I know Chief Moore recommended that we do away with fireworks inside the city limits. After my command staff meeting this morning, that would be my recommendation as well. It continues to escalate. It's a no-win situation for us. We have police cars fired at. We have, obviously this year, you may have known, we had a guy that got tired. We run the people out of Rotary Park, so they go into the neighborhoods. Had a subject got mad about that, so he comes out to confront this group of kids. And then from the shell casings where the kids were at, they had 3 different weapons. One was a AR-15 type weapon that shoots a .223, also 40 caliber and 9mm. So he ends up getting shot in the back. And this was probably maybe an hour or so after we had a 19-year-old that was from Tulsa. That was part of, back in the day when we were kids, it was bottle rocket fights. Had them all the time. I enjoyed them. And then it progressed to Roman candles, and it gets a little more dangerous. Well, now they're shooting artillery shells at somebody. So the question is, when we had a house that burnt there on 24th Street, we had a car that was set on fire that night. We had a 19-year-old that lost an eye, was hit with an artillery round in the face. Didn't know that he was going to live. And then we had investigators come up. I had one investigator tell me he got shot at 3 times driving across town. When I got on scene around 11:30, within 25 feet of my Tahoe, an artillery round went off. I turned around and looked, and just people running into the nights. So I'm going to let Captain Dean kind of give you a little bit of information, and if you have any questions for him, and then I'll finish up afterwards.
Mayor and Council. So I'll tell you, my name is Chris Dean. I've been at the police department. This will be my 15th year. Out of the last 14 4th of Julys, I've worked 12 of them. Over at the police department, it's the day you don't want to work. It's one of the hardest ones to get off, so thus it's fallen on the day that I work, so I'm here. I would say that what we see, it's the same every single year. As far as the violations that go in hand with fireworks. Sale of fireworks starts, early in June. If you look at our city ordinance, it says that you can't pop them anytime other than between 9 a.m. and 11 p.m. on the 4th of July. All of us live here, around here, and we know that's not what happens. The enforcement around that is difficult at times. One's just manpower extensive. But in my experience, it culminates on 4th of July. It culminates in either Rotary Park, Beckman Park, have both been 2 areas that have been more than what the police department was able to handle, along with the calls that are happening throughout the rest of town. This year there were between 50 and 60 individuals that had backpacks, the artillery round, it would be the deployment system. It's the little bottle that you shoot the artillery around. So if you don't know, the artillery shell is the firework. If you go to a ball game, a baseball game, and they pop fireworks, those are the fireworks we're talking about, the massive ones that go off in the sky. Those things will skip across the park, skip across the street, and go off on the ground. Obviously can cause destructive damage. My patrol car on 4th of July was hit twice directly, and one of the times was not that I was trying to drive through Rotary Park or trying to drive through an area to be a target. I had actually tried to make a larger circle around. We didn't have an active call at that time, and then got my car shot in in one of the neighborhoods, but it was a direct hit to the trunk of my patrol car. But it just seems like it escalates. When the shooting that Chief Teehee talked about happened, we had actually, about an hour before that, had shots fired calls on Garland Street. We located 18 shell casings. We're in the middle of trying to collect those as properly and procedurally as possible. That way investigations would have any ballistic capabilities there, or DNA, fingerprints, anything they needed. So it wasn't that we were just running around grabbing shell casings and throwing them in bags. We were trying to photograph them, do our job correctly. While we were there, fireworks were going off all around us, but there was also noticeable gunfire going off around us. So I made the decision, and we had armed officers at both ends just there for the protection of the officers that were trying to work this scene and get out of the neighborhood so that the citizens could enjoy their 4th of July as quickly as possible. Like Chief said, we then had the incident where the gentleman was shot. It was kind of the same thing. We had to post officers at both ends just for the scene protection, not necessarily protection for destruction of evidence, but the protection of us, for us to be able to do our job. The groups of individuals were still there. I know the question has come up in the past. If you look at the ordinance, it says that a juvenile or anybody that's not 18 years or older cannot pop an aerial firework without the supervision of an adult. The problem is not all of these individuals are juveniles. Some of them are adults, or they're with adults. So it still comes into play where my ability to enforce an ordinance violation, because this is a juvenile that's shooting an aerial firework. If they're with an adult, our ordinance states that they can. But it's one of the worst days to work. I mean, it is what it is. But that's all that I have, Chief.
So that's kind of what we deal with on that. And we have people I start getting text early on when fireworks start being for sale all over town saying, hey, can't you do anything? The problem is you have to have somebody that wants to sign a complaint. Nobody wants to sign a complaint. When I was going home on that night, around 1-ish, there was a lady that was over in that same neighborhood that you could tell she was unhappy and she was ready to sign a complaint. But that's part of the problem is if we don't see them do it, and the people who are reporting it, they just want to complain about it but don't want to sign a complaint about it. It's a nuisance to them. Part of what I talk about as far as the hard part about enforcing it is, at what extent do you want us to do as far as our law enforcement duties? And that's easy to think of initially, but just think of the fact when we get there and we've got somebody that's doing a misdemeanor charge, they're popping a firecracker, a firework goes off, we've pulled there, we're close enough to see, so we go to confront them. One of two things happen. They take off running. So do we chase them? Do we tackle them? Do we use force when they're resisting? And then you have the situation where the man who got shot in the back, he goes out to confront a group of, I don't even know how many there was, but there was 3 different weapons. One, a high-powered rifle that was within that group of kids. So our thought is, and this is, we just want you to know as you're trying to figure out what the best course of action is, if there's no fireworks allowed in the city, it gives us the ability to hopefully confiscate when we come into those situations, maybe fewer of them that will have them. To be honest with you, and I hate even saying that. I didn't say it whenever the agenda item done was because, I mean, I'm as patriotic as they come. I love the 4th of July. But I also don't like being called to the point where we don't have manpower to handle things. The other thing, just so you'll know the full story on, we had a guy say, well, why don't you just arrest them? So let's say we do catch that juvenile. Then we have that officer. Typically, we may only have 6, 7, maybe 8 at best. So if you get 2 or 3 juveniles that we arrest, there's no place to put them anymore in Muskogee. So you're waiting to find a bed sometimes 2 hours away from Muskogee to place them in, or they go back to their parents and they're right literally before we're done with the paperwork, they're back out doing the same thing. So those are the things that we're facing. I don't have the answer to all of it, but we want you to all to be aware of what it is that we're dealing with, and maybe together we can come up with a solution that makes things a little bit better for everybody involved. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
Chief, this is something that I could get on board with, but the thing that goes through my mind is ordinance can't do it. I see this ordinance passed and next 4th of July seeing exactly what was done this year done next year. And what can the police officers on the street do differently? They can't approach them differently. They can't arrest them different. I mean, there's nothing we can do now. There's nothing we can do then. I mean, we don't have the rooms or whatever. I'm frustrated here going, how do you fix this? And I darn sure think city parks, city property, people don't need to be on it doing that stuff. But just how do you really put the meat into it?
Well, and that's part of the problem is that it literally has got to the point where it's like, okay, at least if we leave them at Rotary Park, we have them confined to Rotary Park. And just like the situation where officers show up and said, hey, you can't be doing that in the park. So they go into the neighborhoods, and then it's the neighborhood people that are upset about it and want to get shot over it. It's crazy to step out to try to confront a group of kids popping fireworks and be outgunned. What was the total number of shell casings? I know there was 8 or 10, 223.
Total, it was almost 30.
Yeah, 30 rounds that was fired when somebody stepped out to confront those kids.
Let me ask another question. Are there any communities around Muskogee, and maybe there's some of the outlying Tulsa communities, I don't know, maybe Tulsa, that...
Tulsa doesn't allow it.
Okay, so
Yeah,
Tulsa's
it's-
band fireworks.
Yes.
Okay, and any of the communities
matter of
around
fact,
it?
the one who lost the eye was from Tulsa.
Okay.
He came, the 19-year-old came from Tulsa, that lives in Tulsa, and he was here.
Was, it'd just be interesting if, I don't, back in the day, there's no telling when Tulsa put the ban on fireworks, is there?
I mean, it would be something I don't have a problem trying to figure out and see.
Well, I'm just curious. I think it's a problem. I'm just curious is, okay, we do this and we ban them from Muskogee. Everybody that's going to do it, everybody that's going to break the law and not abide by the ordinance, they're just going to be out doing it again. And what do we do differently?
Well,
what can we do differently? And I don't know that we can do anything differently.
Our hope is that it would give us the ability to, I mean, you go in the area, saturate the area, make traffic stops, and you confiscate what you find. If it's illegal inside the city limits, then you confiscate what you find. The backpacks, if the kids are running around backpacks and they're full of fireworks, then you have the ability to confiscate those prior to the war breaking out.
Okay.
Just a thought. Again, there's not a right perfect answer. I wish there was.
I'm on the side of the police and the firemen. We got better things to do than this stuff. And there's people almost killed. There's people lost eyesight. There's people that are injured in other ways. There's people shot in the back. I mean, it's terrible.
Yep.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Chief Teehee, I can support a total ban. But I think if we ban fireworks, we also need to ban the sale of the fireworks within the city limits.
I agree.
Because to have someone purchase fireworks in June and hope that they're not going to pop them in the city limits, they're going to pop them in the city limits. I can support a ban with the exception of those fireworks events that are put on for public display. So if the city of Muskogee sponsors several fireworks displays around town, if a civic organization goes through the proper permitting process and they have a designated area where they're going to pop fireworks, or I think one of the local business owners leased space at Hatbox Field, and anywhere where it could be contained to those types of events. So I would like to see some direction given to the city attorney to come up with some type of policy that shows us what it looks like for a total ban of the use of fireworks within the city limits, as well as a ban of the sale of the fireworks within the city limits, with the options of there being an opportunity for public events where we can have contained fireworks displays. That's what I would like to hopefully see this committee join in giving direction to staff, the city attorney in particular, to come back with a draft of what that looks like.
Mr. May I be recognized? I hear everyone's concern, but just think of all the people that do right with popping firecrackers. So we're going to let a few bad apples take the city and put it on lockdown. These children don't have anything to do in Muskogee, Oklahoma. You said about guns. If they wasn't popping firecrackers, they still have the guns. So adding guns in with firecrackers, I get it, but we got a gun issue out there with juveniles packing guns. So I just think that we really need to consider maybe looking at some of the other municipalities and what they do and what has been affected already in the past, and really consider that those that do right, they want to continue to enjoy the celebration. Thank you.
Does anybody else have any questions for Chief Teehee? We do have one citizen signed up to speak, and I know we normally do this after our discussion, but however, it may change the flow of our discussion, so I'm going to go ahead and ask Mr. Darrell Brown if you'd like to come up to the microphone, give us your name and address, and you'll have 5 minutes.
Good evening. I'm Darrell Brown. I reside at 2109 Denver here in Muskogee. I am one of the concerned citizens that Chief Teehee was talking about. I actually called 911 because my house was getting shot. As the police was there and I was talking to him, we did hear gunfire. And it was right around the corner from us. And I'm concerned. I mean, it's serious. I mean, it used to be teenagers. Now I'm seeing elementary kids, girls, boys. I mean, it's bad. I mean, 50 to 60 to 75 kids running around the neighborhood. It started at Rotary Park, ended up in the residential area, which is, I stay right around the corner from it, right on Denver. It's sad. It really is. I don't even leave my house on 4th of July because I'm scared it's going to burn down. I understand what you're saying, Tracy, but it's serious. I mean, it really is. I've last 6, 7 years, I put out fires. My next door neighbor, which was an elderly gentleman at the time, he soon has passed away, but I actually put a fire out in his backyard because they're running down the alleys, they're running in streets, you know, they're shooting. I mean, I had my house hit in front, and then I had the garage hit in the back. You know, it's serious, and something needs to be done. And like I said, I was actually talking to the officers when we did hear the gunfire, and to hear later that someone lost, you know, an eye, and then someone got shot in the back. I think we need to do something, and I thank you guys for letting me be able to speak.
Can I ask one more question? Is that the only area of town that this happened? Did anything happen anywhere else around Muskogee, or just that one area, sir?
So I want to answer your question fully. That's not the only area of town that has violations of fireworks. I would state that the war that we all saw on Facebook or that we see every year generally is contained to between the areas of Beckman Park and Rotary Park. This year, it was so heavy around Rotary Park that I never got north of Old Muskogee the entire night. So it may have happened near Beckman Park. We didn't have a call for service that night around Beckman Park. Everything was contained. I would venture, I can find the calls to get you a direct answer, but between 24th and Junction, Old Muskogee, and probably Tennyson Street was the area that it was contained to. Mm-hmm. And like Chief said, we would clear the park because I agree with you, the fireworks should be going off in the park, but then the damage escalates in the neighborhood. So I was sitting here literally trying to balance, is it safer to the citizens by allowing them to stay in the park, or is it safer to the city by pushing them out of the park? And for me, it was, you weigh the benefit to the citizens is not shove them out of the park, because then they're not in the confined spaces, because they're still going to do it. At least there, it was somewhat contained, but then it got out of control.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay.
Yes.
May I be recognized?
Yes.
I love the 4th of July. I like to dress up for the 4th of July. But I don't like what I'm hearing happening in our city. I would support a total ban of fireworks within the city limits, as well as the sale of fireworks within the city limits. We see that there has been an increase. Jody Moore has reported that there is a 32% increase within the last 2 years. I'm sure that's going to continue to escalate. When you hear about individuals that have been shot in the back, that have lost an eye, and our emergency responders are going out and then their vehicles are being shot at, listen, people, we have to do something. It has to start somewhere. Is there a perfect solution to this? Can we find a particular spot where we will reach a medium? I don't know. Probably not. But as Chief Teehee said, at least if there is a ban of the fireworks, then they will be able to confiscate those fireworks when they're being carried illegally out of their packaging here in the city limits. That's all I gotta say. But I love the 4th of July. But listen, we're going to have to do something about what is happening. So when a relative of ours gets hurt, or someone that we know, then we want to scream the loudest. Yes, we should have citizens that do complain or swear out a complaint or sign a complaint, but we know that many times that does not happen because of fear or retribution of some sort. But I will support a total ban of fireworks in the city limits of Muskogee. And I'm one of those counselors that was getting calls, not just calls because of what was happening in my ward. I was actually getting calls from other citizens that are outside the city limits that have relatives that stay within the city limits that are wanting something done, not just from that particular quadrant, but from all over the city. There is a lot of concern there.
I have a question, please. Would it be illegal to own the fireworks inside the city limits? Therefore, if you're caught with any fireworks, period, they're confiscated? Or are you allowed to buy fireworks and own them and then take them into the county and pop them? I'm a little confused on how we're going.
So I would assume that would probably depend on what ordinance the city passes. And we could look at best practices of other cities that ban them, whether it's, somebody, like you said, somebody may buy them, but Chief T looks like he's got an idea about that, and Katrina may as well.
I was just going to mention what Ms. Perline mentioned. She specifically talked about outside the wrapper. So to me, if you've got it out and you're using it, then that'd be the time we would take that. If it's something like transport from one place to the other, I don't think that would be an issue. Again, it'd be something and this was just something to throw out to try to come up with, to get with the council to come up with an idea on how to fix this. I think anything's within reason. If it's packaged and, I think that's perfectly fine. We're not, and I said earlier, I absolutely love the 4th, as patriotic as they come, but when the safety of my officers and the citizens of the west side come into hand, then we need to do something about that.
Chief Teehee, do you guys confiscate fireworks now? If they're caught doing something like this, do we take them away?
For the most part, it's not really a big problem until those last couple of days prior to, and then by the time it comes on the day of the 4th, they can pop them. It's just it culminates into that issue on that night. I agree with some of what you talk about as far as you're punishing the group,
the whole town,
right? For a
same thing you guys did with same thing you did. I hate to interject, but remember we used to have the fairground, the fair. Go back, and what happened? Some shooting stars. They said, "Oh, we got to do something about it. Too many shootings." Now look what you have. You don't have a fairground. You don't have a fair. And our children, unfortunately, in this city, is limited on anything of entertainment for children. And if you don't give them anything, you can stop popping firecrackers and say, hey, no more firecrackers in the city of Muskogee. There will still be problems. There will still be guns. And the ones that's doing right have to be punished for a few that's not. I just think that we really need to really consider all angles and really look at what others may do to make a better place for the city of Muskogee.
Is there any way that we could hold off and explore other options other than just a total ban tonight?
Oh, absolutely. All we want to do is just let you know
dialogue.
We've got 300 days or so to figure out what we want to do.
And Chief, I respect the work that you guys do and would never do anything to put you guys in harm's way, but I got a granddaughter I got to go home to that would be heartbroken without those firecrackers. I mean, I looked this morning before I came in at other cities. Jennifer can tell us about Broken Arrow. There's permits that we can require that people purchase in order to pop firecrackers in their yards only. There are bans that we can put on artilleries, just like they banned pop bottle rockets. We can ban some of those things. We can enforce and ban people from going to parks, but I would hate to actually put an end to the 4th of July tonight without, at least discussing some of those options.
Mr. Chair, if I may, Chief Teehee said it exactly right, and Deputy Mayor, what you're pointing out is this is an agenda item to discuss. Nothing that we talk about tonight can possibly be effective. So it's really about if there's a direction that you all want to give us, if you make a motion to, and based off what I've heard, there was a motion to explore, putting together ordinances that other cities do for comparison's sake. With a range of options from ban of sale and possession and firing them off to some other basis and see what other cities do and bring those back for consideration. That may be direction that makes sense to this group. It's up to you all to give us direction, but that was the purpose. Is there's a lot of, as you point out, there's a lot of on the spectrum between where we are now and where some other cities are, but where we are now and where in a complete ban. And so any of those things, if you want staff to put those options together, we need direction and a motion and a vote from this group, because due to council policy, if it takes more than an hour of staff time, we need direction from the whole council in some way. So,
Mr. Chair, I think what would be an appropriate motion is to direct staff under the direction of the city attorney, because it's going to be a legal implication that we have to consider to evaluate best practices in other cities similar to our size, to see what their ordinances and policies are concerning the use of fireworks within the city limits, and to also prepare documents for us to consider that would eliminate the use and sale of fireworks within the city limits as an option, not as the only option, but so that when we have this conversation as we proceed, we can have all the options on the table.
Before any motions are made, and I suspect one will be made.
That was my motion.
It hasn't been seconded yet.
Okay. Just one final thing. We'll be looking into this, and staff and be looking into it. I am curious. I just think it'd be important for me to understand anyway. I don't know if an internet search of when Tulsa banned fireworks, or if there's an old chief there now that was a young chief there then or maybe a fire chief or something. It appears to me today that it works pretty well in Tulsa right now. Today, I just wonder how it worked, 2 years afterwards or whatever. Did they have a growing period or a growing pains period?
Right, and I don't have any problem. I'll have some of my staff contact Tulsa Police Department and find out what kind of issues they deal with. They may have the same issues we do, regardless of what theirs are. But
I bet they don't.
It's just we'll figure that out. And,
I think
be a part of the report.
to make it easy on everyone, I'll amend my motion to include research in particular to what the city of Tulsa did prior to leading up to their complete and total ban.
I second that.
So what's the full motion?
Katrina can read it back probably better than I can remember what I said.
All right.
I'll do my best, Mayor. So the notes I have is that directions to staff to evaluate the ordinances of cities of similar size as compared to our ordinance, and prepare documents prohibiting use and sales in city limits or alternatives based on what we find out in other ordinances, and then to study and evaluate what Tulsa did and what happened up to the time they enacted the ordinance banning fireworks in the city limits and the impact that had on the city.
Are we fine with coming back with that in 90 days, since to something that the chief said, we're not trying to do this overnight? So I think I'd like to add that we have a report of your findings within 90 days.
Yes, sir. I can.
Can we get the sales tax impact on that as well, sir?
I think that's fine.
I believe so. That's a fair question.
Thank you.
And then there's the permit fees.
Permit fees, and I would also like to maybe include Sheriff Simmons in the county. If we do the city, we're just going to shift the burden onto the county, and we should communicate with them and see if they want to possibly have a discussion with us about what we may or may not be able to achieve.
Do we have a motion and a second? Is everyone clear of the motion? Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Patrick Kale,
Yes?
Perlin Boyati Craig,
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery,
Yes.
Tracy Hoos,
Yes.
Tracy McGee,
Yes.
Alex Reynolds.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Item number 10, item number 9 passes. Item number 10, please.
Consider approval of the appointment of Margaret Taylor to the Historic Preservation Commission to serve a 3-year term, filling the expired term of Michelle Shirley, beginning August 1, 2023, and ending July 31, 2026, or take other necessary action.
Councilor McGee?
Yes, that's my appointment, and I think that Miss Margaret Taylor would be a great asset to the Historic Commission, and make a motion to.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Patrick Kale.
Yes.
Pearlie Boyati Craig.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hoos.
Yes.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Alex Reynolds.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Item number 10 passes. Item number 11, please.
Consider approval of the appointment of David Ragsdale to the Martin Luther King Jr. Community Center Trust Authority to serve a 5-year term, filling the expiring term of Reverend Leroy Walker, beginning August 1, 2023, and ending July 31, 2028, or take other necessary action.
Councilor McGee?
Yes, David come highly recommended, so then I make a motion that we allow him to serve on the MLK board.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Patrick Kale.
Yes.
Pearlie Boyati Craig.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hoos.
Yes.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Alex Reynolds.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Abstain.
Mayor Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Item number 11 passes. Item number 12, please.
Consider approval of the appointment of Martin Bebb to the Muskogee Housing Authority, filling the unexpired term of Gary Dunlap, beginning August 1, 2023, and ending June 30, 2024, or take other necessary action.
This is my item. Mr. Bebb came highly recommended for the Muskogee Housing Authority, so my motion recommendation is for him to replace Gary Dunlap.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Patrick Kale.
Yes.
Pearlie Boyati Craig.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hoos.
Yes.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Alex Reynolds.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Item number 12 passes. And we do not have any citizens signed up to speak, so our meeting is adjourned.
We will now call to order the special meeting of the Muskogee Redevelopment Authority for July 10th, 2023. Roll call.
Mayor Marlon Coleman.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Here.
Jamie Stout.
Here.
Alex Reynolds. Tracy McGee.
Here.
Tracy Hoos.
Here.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Here.
Pearlie Boyati Craig.
Here.
Patrick Kale.
Here.
Item number 1.
Consider an executive session to discuss and take possible action on the following. A, pursuant to Section 307, C11, Title 25, Oklahoma statutes, consider convening an executive session to confer on matters pertaining to economic development, including an incentive request by a locally owned business located within the northwest quadrant of the city of Muskogee, and if necessary, take appropriate action in open session. B, pursuant to Section 307, C11, Title 25, Oklahoma statutes, consider convening an executive session to confer on matters pertaining to economic development, including an incentive request by a locally owned business located within downtown Muskogee, and if necessary, take appropriate action in open session.
I'll now entertain a motion to go into executive session.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to convene into executive session. Roll call.
Patrick Kale.
Yes.
Pearlie Boyati Craig.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hoos.
Yes.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Alex Reynolds. Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Marlon Coleman.
Yes, we will now convene into executive session. Those who are not here for those items, you may be excused from the chamber at this time. Thank you. From executive session, roll call.
Mayor Marlon Coleman.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Here.
Jamie Stout.
Here.
Alex Reynolds. Tracy McGee.
Here.
Tracy Hoos. Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Here.
Pearlie Boyati Craig.
Here.
Patrick Kale.
Here.
Ms. Bodenhammer.
Thank you, Mayor. Item 1A, council did convene an executive session pursuant to 307C11, Title 25, to discuss matters pertaining to economic development, including an incentive request by a locally owned business located within the northwest quadrant of the city. Direction was given to staff at this time, and no action is necessary. Item 1B, pursuant to Section 307-311, Title 25 Oklahoma statutes, council did convene an executive session to confer on matters pertaining to economic development, including an incentive request by a locally owned business located within downtown Muskogee. Again, direction was given to staff and no action is necessary at this time.
Thank you. That's our final agenda item for tonight. We are adjourned.